Android and iPhone users. For the full version of WFO Radio, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
We get started with our post-race media availabilities from today's South Point 400 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're joined by our second-place finisher, Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 DC Solar Vegas Strong Chevrolet. We will open it up to questions for Kyle. Please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start here with Nate, and then we'll go to Kenny.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kyle, the restart when you went 3 wide to take the lead, what gave you the confidence to think that could work?
You're trying to find clean air on the nose of your car. So, I didn't really expect to get to the lead. I was just trying to get clean air on my nose, and it happened. The run timed out perfectly where I could get to his right recorder and kind of slow him down a little bit. So I wasn't, honestly, that wasn't even really, I guess it's a thought, before the restart, but I didn't think, I was just trying to kind of shove him out to lead, and then I never really got to his bumper, so the run just kind of worked out where I was able to go around him, and I needed it to stay green there. I felt like I could have won the race right there because he was really good on short run, and I was terrible on short runs today. But once I could get the top going, I was really good, and I was, right when I moved to up top in 3 and 4 and pulled away, the caution came out. So I felt like I was going to be able to stretch it. I felt like the 78 would probably get by him at some point and then, maybe chase me down. So I knew if I could hold Brad off for a little bit, I would have a good shot, but it didn't work out. And then we had a ton of restarts there, and a couple of them worked out for me, a couple of them didn't. Thankfully the last one worked out, and we were able to get to second.
Go to Kenny.
Kenny Bruce.net. Kyle, we saw a little bit of everything out there today. It seemed like, can you kind of describe what it was like for you? The race lasted a lot longer than it normally would. You had a lot of cautions, the red flag at the end. What was it like to go through all of that with the heat and everything?
Yeah, it honestly wasn't too bad in the car. I didn't think. It's nice being out here with no humidity. My hair wasn't even sweaty when I got out, so it wasn't too bad. The red flag got a little hot, but nowhere near like some of the races in the Midwest that we run, or Chicago is terrible. I did glance in the stands, and it stinks that the sun beats on them all race. The stands were pretty packed before the race, and then there that red flag, it looked like they were pretty thin, but it was so hot. I felt like it was hotter in the sun probably than it was for us in the car. So just a hot day, but hot days make for great racing. Thought the track was awesome. For us to be able to run next to the wall and all over the place was a lot of fun. So wish we could run more races here in the heat.
Go back to Nate.
You said the other day that your playoff outlook would be good if you could eliminate the bad luck of the last couple of years. Did you feel like when you had that tire problem early that the bad luck was occurring again? And is your luck changing that you were able to rebound from that and do so well today?
We're only 1 week in, so I'm sure bad luck will creep up eventually. That was bad luck, but it was also good luck at the same time that it happened off of the corner, down the backstretch, and not into turn 3. Tire didn't come apart and tear the car up. So I knew when we came back out and only lost a lap, it was going to work out pretty quickly, and it worked out. Perfectly. We lost that lap, took the wave around, got back on the lead lap, went on caution like 4 laps later. So it sucked that we lost stage points there. I felt like I probably got 8 or 9 points that stage. And then who knows about the next stage, maybe, 8 to 10 more, maybe less. I lost out on a lot of points today because of the track position that we lost. Can somebody let them in? So yeah, could have been a lot worse, that tire problem, but we did lose out on a lot of points there.
That being said, though, there were, I think, 9 guys or 11 guys who had trouble today. I mean, knowing that you came in with so few playoff points and now come out with a second-place finish, do you feel a little more comfortable looking through the first round now?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you only want a couple guys or a few guys to have bad finishes. You don't want a group of them, because then it allows them to have the guys who had problems have a little less stress because they're all kind of bunched together with not a lot of points. But I haven't even seen the points. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. But we had a decent day. I felt like with those stage points that we lost out on, there's probably guys that we ran better than that still gained more points than we did today. So that stinks. But we had a good finish, so that was nice.
We're also joined by a third-place finisher, Martin Truex Jr., driver of the number 78 5-Hour Energy Toyota. We'll continue with questions right here, and then we'll go to Jeff.
Kyle, Alan Michaels from EMG Radio Network. The tire went out first, but after you replaced the tires, did you feel the grip of the tires really getting loose and wearing out real quick?
I don't know. There for a minute, I thought the track freed up. And then I thought it was getting tighter and tighter throughout the race, the last half or so. So, I don't know. It was hot.
Go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Sorry if you already answered this, but in which case, just don't. But is there any theory or explanation for why this was such a crazy wild card-ish type race when it's just a normal mile and a half in theory?
Well, I'll let Martin answer. What'd you say? Is that what you told him? They ran out of talent. I ran out of my tire ran out of talent. Looked like the Fours tire ran out of talent. And then I'm not sure whatever. I don't know who all had issues, what issues they had, but it seemed like a lot of people had issues. So yeah, I don't know. I guess they're all the red playoff cars. Yeah, that's bad deal. Hopefully that doesn't happen to me next week.
Go to the far right, and then we'll go to Bob.
Ron Flatter with VSIN. For both of you, the big three obviously dominated up until now 6 races ago. As the worm turned, and Martin, obviously you're one of the big three, but for each of you, do you feel like now that the big three is scrambling to get back to being the big three?
I felt like the 18 struggled here the last few weeks. I'm sure they're trying stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. Martin was really strong today. I felt like he just needed to stay green, and he had the best car. Harvick was a little off of Martin, and then Brad, again, was really fast, especially on the short runs. And then I felt like I was kind of right there also. So didn't really get to show it much there until the end, but the 18's definitely off their game a little bit right now, but they'll be able to sprinkle some fairy dust and figure it out.
Go to Bob. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the big three talk is cool for the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, it's the big four are going to make the final four, so that's the only thing that matters at that point. And we can talk all we want about who did great in the regular season, but at the end of the day, we're here to win a championship, and at the end of the season, the 4 best guys will be at Homestead, and hopefully we're there.
Go to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Kyle, did you have any other tire issues beyond the one that you had today that we saw?
No, I don't think so. That first set that we had on, they said looked perfect. So I was kind of shocked when we must have cut it. I was running the top, and that same corner that I had the issue, I'd entered maybe 4 to 6 inches higher than I had any other lap. So maybe I ran something over. I'm not sure. It didn't sound like I did or anything like that. But once I got to exit and down the backstretch, I had realized that my tire was flat, so was able to get down pit road.
Go to Dustin right here. Right there in front of you.
Oh, this is Dustin. Sorry. Dustin Long, NBC Sports, and forgive me if you've been asked this, but I guess for either one of you, this is the 3rd consecutive time this season somebody's won 3 races in a row, and this is supposed to be the most competitive sport around. I mean, just how good the competition is. So why is somebody able to win 3 in a row if there's so much?
Brad clearly found the horseshoe. 3 races in a row he's won. He has not had the best car. So I mean, if you want to really talk about the sport being what it is, you got to look at that. I mean, obviously he hasn't led the most laps in any of those races, and he showed up at the end with good pit stops and good short run speed. So I think clearly it's pretty obvious, how it worked out. He's hot right now. He's on a streak. That's the way it goes. We finished third with the best car. So the last 3 weeks we had a top 3 car, and we finished 14th or worse in every one of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tough sport. A lot of things can happen, and momentum and luck being on your side. There's a lot to say for it. Obviously, they're executing. They're doing all the little things right, and that's what it takes to win these things.
Any additional questions for Kyle or Martin? All right, gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. Continue with our post-race media availabilities. For today's South Point 400 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we are joined by members of our race-winning team, which is the number 2 Auto Trader Ford with Team Penske. We have the crew chief, Paul Wolfe, and we also have the vice chairman of Team Penske, Walt Czarnecki. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you guys each a minute to talk about what this means for Team Penske, 3 in a row with Brad, and then also the 500th win for Team Penske. We can start with you, Walt.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, of course, I couldn't help but think we had our 200th win was Ryan Briscoe, and then I guess that was 300th. Our first win was at the Daytona 24-hour back in 1966, and maybe some of you were there. I don't know, but in any event, and then Brad got number 400 at Richmond, and of course then this one. But this is so huge for the team. I was looking at the banner that we had out there in pit road, and I think about all the people that really contributed to this, starting with Mark Donohue, obviously starting with Roger Penske first, but then Mark Donohue and Rick Mears and Rusty Wallace and Bobby Allison and all the great drivers that have driven for this team, Emerson Fittipaldi, and they all share in this. The Unsers, for example. So it's been, I can't tell you what it means to the team. We've all been excited about it. We had our fingers crossed that today was going to be the day. So I'm really happy for Roger and happy for the whole team.
Awesome. And Paul?
Yeah, I'm a little bit speechless. The last 3 weeks, as you look at these races, they're each such big races for different reasons. Winning the Southern 500 in the Brickyard, and then the 500th win and the first win of the playoffs in round 1. It means so much as far as being able to advance to round 2 and the bonus points. There's just been a lot on the line the last 3 weeks, and it's just amazing to see how this team steps up and is able to execute without any mistakes when there's a lot on the line, and something to be proud of, and I'm excited to be part of it. I know it means a lot. Like to Walt's point, there's been a lot of great people that are part of this, that have won races over the years, and we're just a small part of that, and glad we could add to it. We've had some special moments with the 2 team, and I'm thankful for that. Thankful for the opportunity, and Roger gives us all the tools and things we need, and it's up to us to put it all together. And I'm glad we could do that for him today and for Team Penske. So a big win.
All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. We'll open up to questions now. We'll start here with Jerry, then go to Nate, Bob, and Tom.
Jerry Jordan, KickinTheTires.net, PRN, one for each of you. Well, this is the second time, I believe, that there's been a big race that Roger wasn't here.
It's actually the third one in a row.
Third in the row. Is he going to stay away now? Is this?
I don't think so. I'm sure you'll see him at Richmond next week, but he had the commitment there, obviously, at Sonoma. And last week he had a business commitment on Monday. So and he's that kind of person. He honors those commitments. I know would have loved to have been here. I know he knows about it. We've been communicating, but he's got a race to run up in Northern California right now.
And for you, Paul, this win gets you guys past the Roval. Does that you breathe a sigh of relief for that?
Oh, it's definitely nice. It's a great feeling for sure. We talked about it a little bit in the hauler on Friday. As we look at the playoffs in each race and what we're capable of, and the Roval obviously is an unknown for sure, but at the same time, there's only so much you can control, and that's kind of what I told Brad and some of the guys, that yeah, it may be stressful, but at the same time, it kind of is what it is. We got to go out there and just do what we can do, and sometimes you catch the breaks and sometimes you don't, and you just hope you've done everything you can do and have all the pieces in place when you do get the breaks, as we've got some over the last few weeks, and yeah, it feels great that we don't have to worry about the roll. Sure does.
All right, we'll go to Nate and then Bob and Tom.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports for Paul. Disappointing qualifying effort, I know, and then no stage points for stage one. How did you guys do this? I mean, it didn't seem like it was your typical strategy play where you're getting off sequence. It seemed like it was just good pit stops and Brad just picking up spots on restarts, chipping away. Is that how you did it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we never really had all the speed we wanted all weekend. We know we've got a little work to do there. We had moments in happy hour where I thought our car was pretty good. We also had moments where I thought we were off a couple tenths. And, as the race started and it went on through stage one, we weren't terrible. It was really about track position. And as you see towards the end of the race with who gets the clean air, our car was close there in the first stage, but, you're just sitting there 12th or 13th, and you need to be so much faster to pass the guy in front of you because the clean air is worth a tenth or two, and so then it came down to pit road and having good restarts. Our car was very good on restarts, would run fast for a few laps, and I think, our car had some good stability. That's really what it comes down to, those first couple laps when everyone's jammed up and you don't have a lot of clean airs, having a lot of security, and our cars seemed to be able to fire off really well, and the pit crew is really flawless today, and man, we've made gains there, and we've had a good couple weeks on pit road, and I feel like they were a big part of our win at Darlington, getting us off of pit road there. And gosh, I wasn't expecting this out of them today. This was a whole nother level. What I saw out of our pit crew today, it's something really to be proud of and excited about at the same time. I mean, this is the days when you don't have the fastest car, but your pit crew can carry you on pit road and get you off of pit road first. It's huge. And we saw, the 78 had the most speed of anyone today towards the end of the race. But like I said, if you can get that clean air, we were able to hold them off for a long time. And then when he finally got by us there, we came down pit road and beat him off of pit road again. So we know pit road's a big part of it, something we've focused on and something we've put a lot of effort into being better. And I'm glad we're seeing the results of it.
We'll go to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Paul, when you did win the race off of pit road, did you feel good, or did you feel like you're going to need 3-4 cautions and really short runs to hold off Truex?
Well, gosh, it's as I look at the past 3 weeks, I don't think any of the races I went into it, saying, oh, we're going to win this race or we need to win this race. It was doing everything we knew how to do to the best, getting the most out of our car. And that's what I told Brad before we rolled off today was, there's going to be some struggles, I'm sure, throughout the day, but let's just get the most we can out of our car and move on. And that's kind of what we've done the last few weeks, and we keep finding ourselves towards the front at the end of these races, and the pit crew's stepping up and getting us off of pit road. But, yeah, the short runs at the end were our friend, and I think just the whole level of all these guys wanting to win, how important it is to win in these playoffs with all these guys that are in the playoffs fighting so hard with Truex, was obviously a little bit of our friend as well because, as things got separated out and over to longer runs, Truex was eventually going to get by some guys. But, great execution on the restarts, and the shorter runs was playing into our hand.
Go to Tom.
Tom Zaleski on County Today. Paul, as from the season kind of being a meh kind of season where you were struggling to find wins and find some traction, and now 3 in a row, what's the formula been? Is there anything that sticks out that you've done that's making it what it is?
I wish I could point to one thing that really has changed it, but. We've executed well. We haven't had mistakes the last 3 weeks. That's a big part of it. it goes in waves. You know, I've been in the Cup Series for 9 years now, and we've been on both sides of it many times where, you know, we feel like we couldn't do anything wrong and win multiple races. Now, we've never won 3 in a row. That's definitely big, but we've won, you know, had years where we've won 5-6 races. But then we've also had moments where you look at through the summer months this season where we've struggled and doing all we can do to run fifth to 10th. So, yeah, you gotta continue to stay focused and try to be smart and work on the areas you know you're weak and get you know, play to your strengths, you know, and you know, strategy and some of the things we've been able to do over the last few weeks have been good, and you know, the pit road's been a big part of it.
How long have you waited to have the 500 hats? How long ago were they made before you brought them out?
They've been around several weeks. In fact, all of our teams, truth be told, they have some up at Sonoma. We actually had some in Australia with our Australian supercar team that actually raced this weekend. They raced our time last night, and but we were able to break them out and wear them here at Las Vegas today. But they've been around for several weeks thanks to Jonathan Gibson and his team. So we've been fully prepared for this eventuality. But it's, as Paul and I were talking, coming in, 498, 499, and 500. It's quite something.
We'll go over here to the side, and then we'll go to Jerry and Dustin and Bob.
Paul, over here, you got yourself the first win into the chase to get to the next round. You head to Richmond next week, a short track. Will you be trying anything different over there, looking at Martinsville will be coming down the road?
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 short tracks, I guess, in the playoffs between Richmond, Martinsville, and, you know, Phoenix. We kind of categorize as a short track. But the thing about it is all 3 of those short tracks are so different and so unique. You know, Richmond next week is a track that really wears out tires and you know, and as you look at Martinsville, it's not really, there's no aero there. It's all mechanical. And then as you look at Phoenix, that's an aero track with tires that don't fall off. So Richmond, Martinsville have been really good racetracks for us. And for sure, you know, we've been in this position before, winning opening races in the playoffs at Chicago. And it's good. It gives us a little relief and gives us an opportunity to maybe experiment a little bit more at Richmond. But like I said, Richmond is different than, quite a bit different than Martinsville and Phoenix for us. So it gives us time. You know, we feel like we have a direction of where we need to be better to be able to run with the 78 and the 4 and some of those faster cars. So I think this is nice, and it'll give us some time to continue to push and get where we need to be as we get into the next round of the playoffs.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net and PRN again. Walt, this is for you. I know that that every time there's a win, there's a big party at Penske, and all the teams come together. What will this celebration be like when everybody gets into the building? And do you have any idea what the big surprise is from Roger?
I do not. I do not. But the 2-car, of course, the Auto Trader Ford won this race today. But I really want to give a shout out to our other cars, because Ryan and Joey had great race cars too, and their pit work was good. So I think the team approach that we've taken in all aspects has benefited those two. Ryan particularly, he had a shunt early on in the race, as you probably know, and ended up, I think, finished, 6th, 5th or 6th?
Yeah, 5th.
Something like that. And Joey was in it right to the end. So it's really gratifying to you come to that last restart, and 3 of the 4 top cars are your cars. So you feel the odds are pretty good, but nothing is for sure until it happens. But this is really a team win in many, many ways. And I think it's a testimony to the way we've set up the company over the last several years, where there's and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but a lot of not revenue sharing, information sharing, maybe some revenue sharing later on, I don't know, but information sharing, all the teams work next to each other. So I think what we saw today is really demonstrative of that.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Paul, the last 3 races, a lot of cautions at the end, so a lot of short runs. Do you feel like a trend, something that you see more as you get into the playoffs, or is it a case of things are falling your way and it's been, I don't want to take away the work, but it's been as much luck as putting yourself in the right position?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of late cautions and runs down pit road that we've been able to execute on, and it's hard to say. Just like I said, sometimes we could go race, 10 races without late race cautions. I think it's just kind of how it happened to fall. One thing I'm proud of is, and Brad may get mad at me, but in the past, restarts hasn't been his strength, and something we've given races away on restarts when I feel like we've had good cars to win races. So it's definitely nice to be on the other end of that now, and the same thing with pit road. I mean, speaking for the two teams specifically, pit road over the years hasn't really been a strength of ours. Something we've continued to work on and try to find ways to be better. And this year we've really stepped up, and these guys have done a great job. So we've been on both sides of it. Like I said, our cars aren't fast. Yeah, have we had some luck along the way here the last few weeks? Absolutely. And but you got to be able to execute when you get put in those positions as well. So it's not all luck, I mean, a 30th place car isn't going to get lucky and win the race. So we just try to get the most out of our car and do the best job we can every week on pit road, and we're getting rewarded for it now.
Go to Bob.
Bob Pockrass, ESPN. Paul, if I had told you before Darlington that you'd win 3 races just by the end of the year, would you have thought that was likely?
Probably not. I'm probably, if you ask the guys, I'm probably not the most positive guy on the team, but I never give up, and I continue to work and push the guys, and I think Brad's probably the same way. Maybe not always the most optimistic, but when we're put in position to have an opportunity, we seem to be able to handle the pressure, and he does a good job at that. And I think he's shown that the last 3 weeks is what he's been able to do when there's so much on the line, and it's really amazing. It's something really proud to be a part of, and there's a lot of people that behind the scenes that are a part of this. We to the point we get to celebrate a little bit every Monday with all the guys in the shop, and the guys that don't get to come to the racetrack and be part of spraying champagne and stuff. So that's always a fun time there on Monday afternoons, and to see how many people it takes to put race cars out here and do what we do every week is really amazing, and I'm just glad I could be a part of it.
All right. Well, Walt and Paul, congratulations on the milestone day, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Now joined by the driver of our race-winning car, the number 2 Auto Trader Ford, Brad Keselowski. We will open it up to questions for Brad. We'll start in the back with Kathy and then go to Jerry.
I'm sorry,
Kathy
I didn't
Brown.
see. Oh, there it is. Okay.
I'm back here. Kathy
Kathy?
Brown, pitting outside the box. On Thursday, I talked to you about how special it would be to win 3 in a row, especially with this being the first race in the playoffs. Now that it's happened, what do you think that you're doing or your team is doing that has turned your season around so quickly?
Well, I don't know. I'm not really in a great frame of mind to answer that because I'm so caught up in what 500 wins means for Penske, what 3 in a row means for us as a team, and what the last 3 weeks has meant to me personally and professionally. It's just really, really special, Kathy. So, to go with that, a lot of things have come together. They have to come together to win. Winning is more than being the fastest. Winning is about being the best in all facets and taking advantage of opportunities. We probably weren't the best today with respect to being the fastest car, but my team was the best today with respect to executing on the pit stops, putting us in a position to control the race, and then getting through the chaos that I think you guys all saw over the last 20 or 30 laps. To this date in the season, or to date before these 3 races in the season, we hadn't been able to do that. I don't know if I necessarily think we're any faster than we have been the rest of the season, as much as I would say we're finding ourselves taking advantage of opportunities at a much higher level. And with that in mind, that's what great teams do. And I'm so thrilled to death to see this team do that here over these last few weeks, because I can tell you today, last week, and the week before, we weren't good enough to just dominate a race. It took a total team effort, and that's what our guys delivered here today to win in Las Vegas.
We're going to go to Jerry, then up to the press box, and then come back down
I don't
here.
know, did that answer your question, Kathy? Close? Okay.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net and PRN over here to your left. First off, there were 6 cautions in the last 57 laps of the race, I believe. When you're sitting out there and then there's
That's it? It felt like maybe 30, but go ahead.
That's what I was going to ask. That's part of what I was going to ask is, what was it like for you out there on the track trying to wait that out? And did you know you had the car to win? What went through your mind when you got to the checkered flag?
Well, the cautions were, frustrating, but the only thing more frustrating than that was that red flag. Whoa, God, that was I've heard stories about living in an oven before, and I think I've lived it now. But with that in mind, it's a challenge. This was a mentally grueling race, because when you get hot, when you're stuck in those situations, and then you add the chaos of the restarts, and all those things come together, it really tests you and challenges you mentally. And our team was able to make the most of that.
And also, the win gets you beyond the Roval. Have you thought about that at all?
No, I'm just happy for today. I haven't really thought big picture beyond, the Penske side of 500 wins and how special that is to me and to everyone in the organization. And to be a part of that in some small way is really an honor.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box for a question.
Yeah, Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Brad, in a time where sponsorship is so critical for our sport, you've been able to do it with 3 different sponsors for the last 3 weekends.
I like that. He's thinking outside the box. I like this.
How important is that for you?
I think it's really important. I was talking to Joey Logano before the start of the race, and we got to looking at our uniforms, and I think I counted 23 different sponsors on my uniforms of some kind, I should say. And we need every one of them. Motorsports will always be an arms race, no matter what you do. We can try to put caps on it. We can try to come up with any rule, but it will always be an arms race. And sponsors enable us to be one of the best in the arms race. With that in mind, we have some great partners. Auto Trader was on the car today. MGD was on the car in Darlington. And, of course, last week, Discount Tire. Each one of them brings something unique, but also very important to our team that helps us be competitive, and we couldn't do it without them. So we're very fortunate to have great partners like that. And it means a lot to them to be in Victory Lane, by the way.
We have 2 questions over here to the right, and then we'll go to Bob and Jeff.
Brad, Ron Flatter from VSIN. 2 questions for you. One, how vital was it that you had a couple restarts toward the end with Joey alongside?
Yeah, I don't know if that was vital. He's really good. Yeah, I just knew it was going to be a heck of a battle with him because he's one of the best restarters, if not the best restarter in Cup, and he made us earn it.
And this is Las Vegas. Despite 2 consecutive wins, you were still 15-1 early in the week.
Did you have money on it?
No comment.
Oh, man. Is that a no or a yes? Yeah.
No comment. So, but you got bet down to 5. I mean, do you pay attention at all to that?
No. Brendan Gaughan told me in Victory Lane that was the numbers, and I had no idea. I've been so busy since I've been here in Las Vegas. I had 4 sponsor, media, fan dinners, appearances, etc., and I haven't had a chance to breathe since I've been here. So, let alone look at all that kind of stuff. I snuck around and got in the blackjack table for about 30 minutes, and that's about all experience I've got to have here in Vegas beyond the dinners. So, I do enjoy coming to this town, and I'm glad that those things are there. I wish we got a little more respect than that, but that's okay. But we're glad that we earned someone a lot of money today.
Go ahead.
Justin Schuler, Speedway Media. First off, congratulations on giving Penske their 500th win and your third consecutive win, obviously. Now you go into that second round. All season long, especially during the first 21 races, we've been talking about that big three, but it seems like they've fallen off these past few races. When we asked that to Larson and Truex made a comment that it's about the big four going into Homestead. Do you feel like this win has solidified your team to be part of that conversation?
No, I don't. I feel like we're proud of this win, but it's one win in a long grind. And there's 9 weeks of long grinding left. 2014, we won the first race, I think, in Chicago. And that was terrific. I wouldn't trade that for anything. But we were eliminated out of the playoffs 4 or 5 weeks later. So, it's a grind, and you look too far ahead, you get in trouble.
We'll go to Bob and Jeff, and then we'll go back over to the right.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. You used the word chaos today. This track isn't necessarily known for chaos, maybe a couple of highlights, but not the type of chaos that we saw today. Is that because it's the playoffs, or is it just because it was just like 100 degrees and nobody really knew what they had?
I'm sure 100 degrees plays a factor in that. It's so darn hot that cars were blowing tires and things were happening that probably wouldn't happen if it was cooler out. But beyond that, I can't really speak. I haven't seen exactly what happened in the individual accidents, and I would probably try to break them down before giving a great answer to it. But I certainly understand where you're coming from, Bob. Like I said earlier, Bob, I've tried to think of the playoffs as 1 week at a time, and I've tried not to get too far ahead. I think I've made that mistake in the past, and so whether it comes to the Roval or Phoenix or Homestead, you got to get there first, and the pathway through there is 1 week at a time.
We'll go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. I almost have the identical question as Bob, so I want to ask, is there ever a sense when the race is unfolding and like the nature of the race changes based on what drivers see other drivers doing? Like if everybody's getting aggressive, does everybody else raise their aggression level, and that could contribute to something? Like, is that one theory, I guess?
Well, I mean, a certain element to motorsports will always be that we play a game of chicken, whether it's on restarts or whatever scenario it might be. And, understanding who has what stakes on the line is really important. When you get to a race like this, everyone pretty much has equal stakes on the line. But when one person pushes you hard and then you let them in or let it go, and then eventually someone else does it. And now you find yourself in the back playing from behind, and now you start to do it. And it creates an escalating effect. With that in mind, eventually both guys don't lift, and things happen. That's always going to be an element to motorsports that is a part of it at every level. And so with that said, the playoffs, of course, when you're playing from behind can make you take more risk.
Go back over to the right and then to Nate.
Andre Haynes from the EMG radio show. Congrats on today's win.
Thank you, Andre.
Do you think that other drivers will change their strategy to win, and if so, how?
I don't know who's in what point situation, but one of the things about this format is it definitely changes people's strategies as you get towards the cutoff races, if you're from behind or if you're way ahead. And every person has their own unique scenario. Of course, our scenario right now is very good, but some are not as fortunate. We've been in that spot as well. And when that happens, you definitely put all the chips on the table.
We'll go to Nate and then Dick and Ware and Jerry.
I got two for you real quick, Brad. The first is, I think the first 9 restarts, the leader took the outside. The last 3 restarts, you took the inside. Why?
I just felt like it was working better, and felt like I was able to control it a little better on the bottom. I don't know, maybe that was right, maybe that was wrong, but we're here now, so I'm glad we did.
And then I want to get your opinion on this. Martin Truex Jr. was asked about you winning 3 in a row, and he said that Brad clearly found a horseshoe. 3 races in a row he's won, and he's not had the best car. If you really want to talk about the sport being what it is, you've got to look at that.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
He's spot on. We have not been the best car the last 3 weeks. This week we were probably a top 3 or 4 car. I didn't get to see the 4 car before he had his issue, but I thought he was running pretty good. He was obviously in front of me at one point. And him and the 78 were very strong. The 78 was clearly the best car. And we put everything together when it counted and kind of stole it today. Same scenario the last 2 weeks. I thought the 42 was the best car in Darlington, and we hit the strategy right and executed the last pit stop, and that put us in position to win. And in Indy, we were nowhere near probably even a top 10 car. We were probably a 15th place car. And Paul Wolfe hit the strategy right, and then I hit the restart right to make all the passes when it counted and won that race. So with that in mind, no, I feel like we stole the last 3 races. We're not complaining, but we still have a lot of work to do to go out there and win heads up without those issues.
We'll go up here in the front, and then Jerry and Dominic.
Brad Dickenware, the Motorsports Report. Indy was a milestone. It was a big one. It was one Roger wanted for a long time, and, of course, now the 500. Tell me about the conversation you had with the captain after Indianapolis. And,
we really haven't talked yet, to be honest. I've been on the media tour and all that. I had one quick phone call with him in Victory Lane, and he was in a business meeting. It was really important. And then I had one real quick phone call with him yesterday morning, I think it was, or yesterday afternoon. Yeah, yesterday afternoon. And he's completely out the front windshield. He's not looking back at all. We did not talk about Indy. We talked about winning today and what we're going to need to do to do it. So those that have been around Roger Penske know that's who he is.
Go to Jerry and then Dominic.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires at Net and PRN. You were fast on the track today, but I don't think you did 271.
No.
Bob went out and bested his goal. Can you talk about your dad?
Yeah, I'm so proud of my dad to be getting it on the salt flats, not terribly far from here, and he hit 271 today. I know he'd been working really hard on that, and I'll tell you what, he's got me thinking really, really hard about taking that car to Talladega and trying to put up a number. But if I could find a sponsor to do that, I don't know if there's anybody out there, I think I'd go do it, because the record right now is sitting at 251, I think. Closed course with A.J. Foyt somewhere on a test track here on the West Coast. And I think his car can hit 270 at Talladega. So if I could get somebody to help me make it work, I'd love to go do it. So that's my quick endorsement. But I think there's an incredible opportunity out there. And I'm so proud of him for building it and having the dream and vision and putting it to good work. And he'd been there the last 3 or 4 years, and I think 2 of the last 3, it's flooded out or rained out, however you want to look at it, and he hadn't been able to run. He was so disappointed, and he called me about a month ago, and he said, I really want to go back to Bonneville. Can you help me get there? And so I was his sponsor for him to get there. And I think he borrowed a trailer or something, a truck, and towed all the way out there. And, of course, as you saw, he hit his number. His goal was to hit 271, and I think he hit 265 last time he was there, and he just keeps toying with it, tinkering with it. He's not retired, but he's semi-retired, and this is his hobby, and I'm thrilled that he's having success with it. I mean, couldn't be any worse than today. No, I think it'd be really fun. The hardest part is getting tires, because the tires are only good for about 220 mile an hour, so. Grant Lynch, I'm sure Grant's still around. He's probably listening right now. Grant, we got to figure this one out, but we'll see how it goes. Might have to get a hall pass from the captain, too. I don't work on that one, too.
We'll go to Dominic and wrap up with Jim.
Dominic Goddard going with the Racing Experts back here. Just curious if you can just kind of talk about the team morale the last few weeks compared to what you've been seeing the last couple weeks now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't had a lot of time to spend with the team, and I feel terrible about that, but the week being what it is with media and sponsor and fan request appearances that we have to do. That's just the way it goes. But what I've seen out of them from in the driver's seat while they're working together, they're certainly hitting all the marks, and I'm very, very proud of them for that.
Have you noticed any difference from like 3 or 4 weeks ago to now?
We're just faster. We're faster on pit road than we've ever been.
Going to wrap up over here on the left with Jim.
Jim Hunter, motorsport.com. This is sort of a similar question. You mentioned it
a little bit in victory lane, but whether or not you think you have the speed to compete, or you lucked into some of the wins, where do you feel your team, obviously without the team that was behind you today or the last couple of weeks, you wouldn't have been able to capitalize on the circumstances.
Sure.
Where do you feel your team ranks as far as some of the others that are the best?
Well, I mean, the last few weeks we've been a top 2 or 3 team on pit road, and I think I look at our season, and I look at this season, and I look at seasons past. We find a way to win as a team when we have at least one strong card, right? That strong card might be a fast car, it might be fuel mileage, it might be pit road. Over the years, we've always found a way to take our strong card and put it in victory lane. And quite honestly, the only strong card we've had this year until now has been the plate tracks. We've had good speed there, good tactics, and we're able to win the Clash. But other than that, we haven't been able to put together the wins for a number of reasons, from crash fest races that have kind of tied us up to some mistakes on my part. With that in mind, the pit crew is, before these last 3 weeks, has never been the strongest suit of the two team. Right now, it's the strongest part of our equation, part of our team. And with that in mind, we're putting that to good use with these last 3 weeks, because without it, we couldn't have won.
All right, Brad. Well, congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you hanging around, and hope we had a good time.
This is WFO Radio.